Hey everyone, how you holding up? Oh my goodness, somebody just asked me that question and my answer was, I don't know. This coronavirus time is a weird time. But there's one thing that I've heard myself saying over and over to students and coaches and parents, and I thought I would send it out to all of you as well. And it is a response to the question like, God, are you having a hard time thinking right now? I'm having a hard time thinking right now. Like people are just like, whoa, what's going on? And so I wanted to share a fun little brain fact. Pretend that my hand right here is a model of the brain. And so the wrist right here is the back of the head, and that's the reptilian parts of our brain. Moving up into this area, like if you could just like go a few inches in here, is the limbic system of our brain. This is where we process our emotions. And then wrapped around that, the limbic system right here is like where the nails of this hand are, and the nails of this is kind of the same place. This is where we process our executive functions. Now, many of you may know by now that executive functions it's a fancy phrase that represents a place in our brain where we do some higher level thinking, where we plan, where we prioritize, where we take big things and break them down into smaller steps. We can look forward into the future and we can make plans about how to get where we need to go. We can initiate tasks, we can end tasks. All of that happens right here in the prefrontal cortex. So notice though how close the executive functions are to the emotional part of the brain. And imagine when the emotions are flooded, one of the things that happens is there's a door between the emotions and the executive functions, and bam, that door slams shut. And so what that means is we spend more time in our fears or happinesses. It can be in both directions, though I know right now in March of 2020, many of us are dealing with fears and with the changing schedules and not knowing what the future holds. And so the fears make it really hard for us to access our executive functions. And now teenagers anyway have a harder time accessing their executive functions because teenagers have a really loud limbic system. And so it's worse right now, I would say, for many teenagers because the fears are up, and it's really hard for grown-ups too. A lot of us are in a place where our feelings are kind of chaotic and we just are having a harder time thinking. And it's also a time though where we have to do a lot of thinking. Oh, you poor teachers out there. Oh my goodness, the amount of quick thinking you're having to do to just shift your entire teaching structure when you've not been trained how to do distance learning is crazy. I get it. And parents, you're having to navigate all the stuff that teachers are figuring out and also navigate it for your kids. And you might have 3 different kids at 3 different schools with 3 different systems. That's a lot of information to have to track in the executive function parts of your brain. And then kids, I'm making this video on Tuesday to go out on Wednesday. And I saw my clients yesterday and today, and oh my goodness, there are many teachers right now who are actually assigning more work than they did when the kid was in school. And that is a lot for my teenagers are kind of like deer caught in headlights with how much work is coming their way. Now, I know some of you don't have school right now, but others really do. And teachers, I don't blame you because I know you've been making lots of decisions really fast. So I do think in the next few days as we just kind of calm down a little and start seeing what the new normal is going to be like and start getting used to what it's like to spend time at home. I'm in the California Bay Area, so we're already doing what they're calling shelter in place and trying to stay home. So once this area has been able to calm down some, we will be able to access more of our successful executive functions. And so right now, the best things you can be doing for yourself is to do whatever you can to take care of yourself. I will be putting out something in the next week to help all of us with some tips and tricks and ideas for how do we best take care of ourselves and how do we best structure our days during this very strange time. But for right now, I just want to ask everyone to remember that if you're having a hard time thinking straight right now, it makes so much sense. And so the best thing you can do for yourself is to do whatever you can to be in control of whatever you can control. That reminds me, actually, a school system somewhere just sent out a great tip list. And I think I want to end with this tip list. I'm looking at my phone right now. Tip number 1, separate what is in your control from what is not. Do what helps you feel a sense of safety. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3, get outside in nature. That's what I'm about to do. If you can, we're allowed to go outside and walk in the neighborhood. At least I'll be looking at the trees. Challenge yourself to stay present was tip number 4, and stay connected and reach out if you need more support. So again, I will be providing some ways for you to feel my support in the next coming days with some drop-in Zoom rooms, I think, for parents and teachers and students. But stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, from my heart to yours, big, big blessings.